Hey everyone, happy Sunday evening to you all. Welcome to Rockin' Dead. We are live, and before we get into tonight's program, I just want to give a big thanks and a kind of a recognition to the men and women who fought for us. Today over here in Canada, we're celebrating Remembrance Day, November 11th, and I believe in the States they call it Veterans Day. Either way, we're very fortunate to be able to communicate with one another in a social media forum such as this, watching YouTube videos, relaxing on a Sunday evening with the freedoms that we've been given thanks to the men and women that fought for us. So I could not start this evening's show without at least saying thank you. A lot of our families, forefathers and mothers, grandparents, the whole list goes down the line of people that fought for our freedom. So very, very thankful for that. And I'm also very thankful to be able to have another show here this evening as well, too. So we're going to have, I'm going to try to cram as many things as I can into a 60-minute show. If we happen to run a tiny bit past the 60-minute window, I may extend that, but I want to make sure I'm off early enough for the people, at least here in the Eastern Standard time zone, that watch the show at 9 o'clock, that you have enough time to get ready. Because if you're anything like myself, you'd like to be ready for the show and sitting on your seat, make sure you have your drinks or snacks, popcorn, whatever the case may be, ready to go for the evening. So I've got a cheat sheet with me here tonight, and by cheat sheet I mean digital cheat sheet. We're going to be referencing a lot of things tonight. We're going to be talking about a couple theories beforehand, and we will issue some spoiler warnings as we get later throughout the program. There certainly isn't any deep spoilers by any means. There's things that are common knowledge just from what AMC has been posting. And if there's anything that gets any deeper than that, then we will certainly address that as well, too. But we're going to start with some theories. I'm also going to share some really cool Facebook groups with you as well, too. A couple Facebook groups and a website throughout the evening as well, too. That's something that's very heavily Walking Dead related, and I think you'll get some good enjoyment out of it. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll jump over to the chat throughout the evening as well here, too, and say hi to the good, fine folks that watch these live broadcasts. And the cool thing is, sometimes if you don't get a chance to catch them live, there is a replay factor, so you can tune in pretty much right after the fact. If you're late to the party and you miss the stream, sometimes people don't get the post notifications. So I do highly suggest that if you do subscribe, well, if you haven't subscribed, that's the first step to getting notifications. But subscribe and make sure you hit the bell and turn on all post notifications. And sometimes it wouldn't even be a bad idea for some of you that are subscribed. Sometimes I'm finding people saying they didn't get the notification. You could always uncheck the notification and turn it right back on again. It's almost like when you get that little something stuck in the vacuum hose, it doesn't want to go either way. Sometimes you just need that little push to put it over the cliff. So that's always a good idea too. So a bunch of people jumping in, and I will, like I say, I will go over and say hi to a bunch of you as we go through. And so I'm just going to look at a few notes I've got here too. So obviously tonight we're talking about episode 6, season 9, episode 6. Tonight airs tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern. Who Are You Now? This is going to be pretty cool. A lot of Father Gabriel. There's new characters we're going to see throughout the evening as well, and major time jumps. So I think this is a really, really cool thing. I did a video recently. See, someone's just saying didn't get notifications. Make sure you check that. Go to the bell, maybe turn off the notifications and turn it back on. YouTube's been kind of unnotifying people. I'm not the first person to report this. A lot of people have. So make sure that you hit that bell and make sure notifications are on. A lot of people jumping in now as well, too. So we're going to be talking about episode 6 tonight. We're not going to be going into deep spoilers or anything of the like. Pretty much everything that we're going to be sharing tonight is going to be opinion-based and things that are actually shared by AMC and also throughout these various groups. Not the spoiler groups, but certainly just the fun, really awesome communities of the Walking Dead family groups out there. So talking about episode 6 tonight, and a few things I just want to start off right first and foremost. Rocking Dead here is new content on the channel. It's probably only about a month old, but Rocking Dead certainly isn't old. I mean, certainly is older. I mean, the content is new, but the concept is older. And I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown on this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I at least want to tell you what it's about and how this came to fruition. Rocking Dead was something I used to do years ago. It was a column I used to write for the Walker Stalkers. I'm sure everybody that's watching right now are familiar with the Walker Stalkers. It used to be James and Eric. James is still involved, and I think Eric does some things behind the scenes. But it's grown into the world's largest, zombie horror, HorrorCon, Comic-Con, whatever you want to call it. Those guys have done phenomenal. And I was with them pretty much from the ground floor, and I used to write a column for them called Rocking Dead. And the original concept was talking about the music and the scores of the hit TV show, The Walking Dead, because I'm sure a lot of you will agree with this, especially in the earlier seasons. The score to Walking Dead was just as important as any of the actors. Look at season 1, Rick waking up out of his coma, and there was so much emotion in the musical score before there was even a word spoken, of dialogue, man or woman or, or child, whatever, the soundtrack had a huge impact. So that was my intention of starting Rocking Dead. We interviewed one really cool musician, Jamie Uncommons, who did the one track from the Morgan episode, Clear. Remember when Morgan was losing his mind and clearing his mind, that kind of thing, and clearing all the things out of his life? Well, that was one of the first people we interviewed. And then pretty much almost overnight, James and Eric and Walker Stalkers blew up to an overnight success. I use that term loosely because no one is an overnight success. Even though we say overnight success, you see these famous bands on TV and the radio and stuff like that, and you think, oh, they're an overnight success. No, they put in a lot of years of work leading up to it, and so did the Walker Stalkers. They were diligent about their podcasts. They dedicated to the craft, and their hard work paid off. But so I'm very happy with those guys had the success that they had. And we still communicate occasionally, not a lot. We definitely didn't leave on bad terms. They just grew up and they didn't need little old me anymore. And, they got my blessing. They're off to the races. So let's fast forward many years into the future. Rocking Dead pretty much died on the spot. So while I've been doing this channel, as you see it on YouTube, for about 2.5 years, maybe going on 3 years this January, I think. That's about the right amount. And early into the channel, as you know it now, like over, a lot of you don't know this, but I do a music thing over on the other side of the channel, several music things. And I got heavily into the Van Halen style of stuff because everyone knows me as a Van Halen fan. And early into that onset, my beautiful better half, who you'll see in the chat, Nocturnal Butterfly, she says to me, you should do a Walking Dead themed, show on YouTube. I'm like, nope, not going to happen. I can't do that. I just can't throw an extra thing and a monkey wrench into the mix. And she's like, well, it's a good idea. You should do it. Because we're both big fans. And I said, no. So fast forward 2 years later, I'm going to go back now about a month and a half. And I said, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning one morning, and I said to her, to Nocturne Butterfly, I woke up like an epiphany. I got this great idea. I'm going to do a Walking Dead themed thing on YouTube. I think it's going to be great. What do you think? Isn't that going to be great? And she looks at me and she laughs. And I'm like, okay, well, what's so funny? I got a bad hair day. Is my mustache on sideways? And she's like, doesn't that sound familiar? And I'm like, what would sound familiar? She goes, The Walking Dead. I told you to do that 2 years ago. And I'm like, oh. So just when you have one of those great ideas, my musician friends will kind of relate to this. If you write a really good riff and you're thinking, this is the best thing I've ever written, and then you go to listen to it, hey, it sounds like band X on the radio, right? So you're like, oh man, and you're all deflated. But at the same time, I wasn't deflated for very long because I saw what she was saying. And rule number one, guys, always listen to your women. They always know what they're talking about. They seriously do. And just when we think we know it all, we don't. I'm the worst one for not listening. And I get in trouble for this all the time. Why don't you listen to me? Why don't you listen to me? And yes, dear, you are correct. So she was correct about this. We've launched Rocking Dead. And I think it's been a great success for the short amount of time I've been doing it. We're getting some good feedback, and I'm meeting really cool people. That's a cool thing. There's cool numbers, and there's cool stats, and there's cool likes, and all that kind of stuff, and the subscribers are increasing. That's cool, and that's awesome, and that is a goal, of course, too. But one of the biggest things I love about this is the friends I've made. I'm reaching out across the globe, literally, and making new friends, people in the Walking Dead communities. Now, of course, in any community, Walking Dead, Van Halen, whatever your thing you're into, your, home crafting, I don't know, I'm giving you some really strange examples, but there's always bad seeds, bad apples that will work their way into those groups as well too. But we just kind of push the negative aside, and we never ever focus on the negative. It comes through here occasionally, but you know what? Positive energy is something that we always push on this channel, and kill them with kindness. But the biggest thing here for me and our family here, being a big YouTube family, a family that really supports YouTube, we really focus on the positive here. So we're going to be talking about that. I've kind of given you the lowdown of how the origins of Rocking Dead started here. And actually, because of James and Eric and the Walker Stalkers in the early onset, it led me to start up a friendship and have a long-lasting friendship ever since with Lou Temple, who, as a lot of you diehards will know, played Axel in season 3 of The Walking Dead, who could have been a great contributor to further seasons. Could have been today's Dwight. They even look a lot alike if you kind of compare the two a little bit. But that's been a great blessing from that as well too. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump over to the chat here for a second, say hi to a bunch of people. We can see it on the screen. I can't read it off the screen. I'm going to have to read it from over here because I'm blind as a bat, but I'll certainly try and read here from the live chat. Make sure you're on live chat as well. Nocturnal Butterfly, as I mentioned, my beautiful better half here, the one with that she deserves all the applause for Rocking Dead. is here. Good evening, folks. Zach Thong is here. Eric and Nocturnal Butterfly. Michael Madej is here. Bad Wolf Tail, that is my friend from over in the UK, and we're going to have some links to her channel here very, very soon. Actually, to her website. That's Christian Smith. She's staying up very, very late to be able to catch this presentation. So thank you very, very much. Rob Groden is here. 61 Junior. I didn't get notifications, as we mentioned earlier. Yeah, toggle them off, toggle them back on. Amber Gray is another new fan here of the channel, and we've got a great fan theory that she's contributed on top of a fan theory. I'm going to share that with you all tonight as well, too. And I'm not going to spend too much time on the fan theories, but they're awesome. And we're just going to kind of touch base on leading up into tonight's episode. But thank you, Amber, for joining us as well, too. Michael Madej just says, I just finished watching Helix Hour. Couldn't be there for the live show. That was a show I did earlier today on my third channel, for the same channel, third show. I run 4 shows here. It's sometimes it's hard to remember which hat or shirt I'm wearing for the day. And I'm not starting a Rick and Morty show. I'm just wearing a Rick and Morty shirt. I love Rick and Morty, by the way. We got to see Little Badass in action. Yes, we do get to see Little Badass in action tonight. 61 Junior says, love The Walking Dead. Thank you so very much. Quentin James, a regular here on various platforms. Nice to see you, Quentin. Thank you for tuning in. And I don't even know where your love is of the show of Walking Dead, so it's nice just to have you tuning in, and I appreciate it. I'm Sucking Wind. I didn't think I ever watched Walking Dead. I see enough in real life. Yeah, there are some strange things out there. Idiot of the Day, my good friend Jeff, has a fantastic channel. Joining in, says, made it. Let me see here. And yeah, I'm Sucking Wind says they are smarter than the men most of the time. We're referring to the ladies, and I'm sure that's what you're referring to, and I agree with you 100%. Maida Rivera, hello from Puerto Rico. Thank you very much for tuning in. And Bad Wolf says it's he, but see where you got the she from. Thank you. Sorry, I'm so very sorry. No problem. And I sometimes get the names wrong, and gender sometimes. So my sincere apologies. Bad Wolf Tail linkage. There we have that from Nocturnal Butterfly. So let's continue down. I want to talk about, I have to look where I left a note here. I was going to do a video on Walking Dead the other day, and it was completely different from the theme that I was going with. And I was ready to do a video. I don't want to overload the channel with Walking Dead content because, the nucleus of my show is guitar stuff, and I don't want to alienate my audience there. And fortunately, I don't think I have, because for the most part, I've been finding a lot of Walking Dead fans coming over to the show, and then I've been hearing feedback saying, oh, we got some guitar stuff here too. I'm a guitar player, or my husband's a guitar player, or my boyfriend's a guitar player. So that's been really, really cool. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. And I do know a lot of musicians that are Walking Dead fans. So I do think it's something that's cool. And by offering these 4 different little mini niches of content on the channel, I think I can kind of offer something for everybody without alienating people. So that's my goal. But, so long story short, while I can, which is the point right now, I try to read every comment, almost every comment that I can on YouTube. And I think my channel's still at the size where I can manage that. Very thankful to be where we are. But I'm also at the point where I can babysit this channel and see the feedback that's coming in, good or bad. And even when bad comes in, I do handle it with kid gloves, and I'll even kill the worst of people with kindness. That's just the kind of people we are here. And maybe it's because we're Canadian. But I'd like to spend some time in the morning with coffee. Usually after coffee, I like to have a coffee in my system before I start digesting comments. And lately, the comments have been very, very positive, and lots of them. And because of the comments, it totally changed my outlook on a whole video. So I want to jump into that right away. This is something really, really cool, and I think a lot of you are going to appreciate this. So Tommy Forbes. So here we go. It says, we'll talk about tonight's episode, but I'd like to share a great theory from a YouTube comment via Tommy Forbes, the breakdown of who the helicopter people are and how the virus initiated, or how it started. Okay? And I'm just going to try to highlight over here in the live chat where I might have left off so I can hopefully continue from there. So there we go. Yeah, we got Bad Wolf Tail, and I apologize on the confusion on that one. Okay. And Paul Glover, you're on deck next. Okay, so Tommy's comment, he says, if you look on the helicopter, and the helicopter we've seen from episode 1, scattered all through the different seasons very sparsely, but up into even the most recent season. If you look on the helicopter, there's a logo that has 3 circles. I think this isn't the government. In my opinion, that completely collapsed due to infighting and uselessness. I think this is a global organization that perhaps saw the state of the world in the way it was. I think, state of the world, pollution and war has littered the earth. This group created a virus, one that infected everybody worldwide. The system of A's and B's, as we're seeing now quite a few times, and there's still ongoing theories, and Bad Wolf Tail has some good theories on that website as well too. But it could be a method of collecting a relatively small amount of people who could repopulate the planet once civilization has died out. Think about it. The 3 circles could represent the stages of their plan. The first circle representing collapse of society. That's already happened, as he says. The second for extinction, and the last one being repopulation. And he goes on to say, sorry if this is all over the place. These are just some of my thoughts of what it could all mean. But I could be completely wrong, though. Laugh out loud. And I commented back and I said, no, not only are you not completely wrong, I buy into this theory strongly. And then he went on to kind of give a couple more theories. And I said, dude, you just keep nailing it with your theories. And then here over in the chat, we have Amber Gray, as I mentioned. And Amber says, this is pretty cool as well, too. She says, I also feel the logo on the helicopter holds a clue into what this group is about, so I did some research. And I'm probably going to pronounce a couple of these words wrong. I'm Canadian. The three circles logo is called the trikeratonaut. The triangle shape always represents 3 elements. For example, here's a list of some. And this is pretty crazy. Just when I give you each of these little lines of 3 words, I think each one of these will probably ring a bell to you. Land, sea, and air. Okay, right? So it could be tanks, helicopters, that one very strongly, just like Tommy was saying. Past, present, future. I believe in that. I hold that one true as well too. Look at tonight's episode. We're jumping 6 years into the future. We've seen the past. We've seen what happened in the present. Now we're way into the future. So that rings true. And lastly, honestly, all these ones that she's pointed out, none of these are unbelievable. This one here says order, justice, peace. So there you go. That's the various kind of definitions. And it goes on to further say the trikeratonaut appears in popular culture. Here's something the rock musicians will get. For example, a form of the symbol is seen on the cover for Led Zeppelin 4. John Paul Jones chose the trikerata, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, to represent himself. That is, and this is what Wikipedia says about that. Bassist John Paul Jones' symbol, which he chose from Rudolf Koch's Book of Signs, as a single circle intersecting 3 Vesica Pisces or Pisces. I'm not sure. I apologize on that. A trikerata, that's the main thing. It is intended to symbolize a person who possesses both confidence and competence. So what do you think of that? So the people that are watching right now that follow this helicopter theory, what are your thoughts on that? I think that's pretty awesome. I think with Tommy's theory and the extension from Amber here, I think that's really, really cool. And I know that's not the whole topic of tonight, but I think it's awesome to finally get an idea and backstory on what this is about. And I'm sure I've been looking forward to these new movies. Rick Grimes is going to be doing 3 movies, standalone, most likely on AMC. I don't think it's going to be a feature film presentation. And right now, it's not even guaranteed that it's going to be AMC, but it is guaranteed that there are going to be 3 full-length movies. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to get to know who these people are, and I think it's going to pick up right from where we left off last week, which is great. So I want to continue on, and I'll jump back to the chat in just a second as well, too. So the video, obviously, that I talked about was basically one of the A's and B's theories and who the helicopter people are, and it spawned a lot of great conversation, and I'm very, very thankful for that. It's one of those things where, had I not did it, I wouldn't be speaking to a lot of you. I know there's a lot of regulars here on the show tonight watching, like that watch my music shows, but I've met some really other cool people, and that would not have happened whatsoever had I not taken a chance on some of these videos. So a lot of times I put plans into motion and I fail miserably flat on my face, and I'm not afraid to do that. Sometimes I'll do live demos on the air and I'll fall flat on my face, but I'm one of those people that I would rather take that chance and swing without a safety net and succeed and or else fall flat on my face, but there's no safety net. And that's what happens here a lot on the show. And fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't fallen to my death here on the show. That would maybe get some more views and some more subscribers, but I don't necessarily want to do that yet. You got a family to provide for here. So let's jump back to the chat for a quick second. I'll make sure I save some notes here as well, too. Paul Glover was next on deck. He says, hey, Eric and everyone. Amber Gray, thanks. Very happy to be here. Thank you very much for the contribution. That was fantastic. 61 Junior, when you watch 2 YouTube shows at once, you have a problem. Yeah. Paul Glover, Nocturnal Butterfly. I'm second one. Thank you, Nocturnal Butterfly, for subbing. So Bad Wolf Tail says, I'm currently creating an article of this. It's a fantastic theory. Fantastic. And speaking of which, throughout the evening here as well, too, we were getting a couple of links already, too. I'm going to mention a couple other Facebook groups. We've already got the link for the website over in the UK as well, too. But I'm going to try to share. I'm going to try my very best every week to bring out and bring some awareness to some new people that don't know of some of these Facebook groups. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure my show is not going to do much to bring more people, but there are some people that don't know about all these different really cool Walking Dead Facebook groups, and I'm going to do my very, very best to promote at least 2 or 3 every week. So I hope that helps some people that are searching for some great content. Let me see here. I'm second witness. It's a symbol of the Illuminati. You never know. You never know. Let me see here. So here's another note. I'm reading off my iPad tonight just because I've got a couple of things. There's so many things I was preparing for this evening. And today was a show of 2 shows. So I really did have to mentally prepare to get in the mindset to make sure I remembered everything. And without cheat sheets, I'm just certainly not going to get through it. But I also mentioned in some of my comments that on these videos that, in my personal opinion, I think we could only necessarily maybe see successfully 2 more years of The Walking Dead as we know it. I'm not talking about Fear the Walking Dead or anything like that. I'm talking about The Walking Dead show as we know it. And immediately I had some people very politely, but it was arguments, but it was polite arguments. And that I totally embrace. And I have no problem having a polite disagreement or argument about. And Tommy Forbes is correct. Yes, Bad Wolf Tale, Tommy Forbes. If you look back on the video, you'll see his name there as well too. But anyways, I was saying 2 years, I would think, in a good realm of time that we would see The Walking Dead exist and maybe go out on a good note. Like Breaking Bad. I'm sure a lot of you watched Breaking Bad. And I think Breaking Bad went out at the perfect time. I don't think they needed to go any longer. I don't think they should have went any shorter. I think they went out on a great high note. I'd like to see The Walking Dead do that. So where the argument popped up, people are saying, yes, but Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride just signed 3-year contract deals, major ones too. You know, Norman making anywhere between $50 and $90 million over that course. And I think Melissa's, I was going to say Carol, but Melissa, I think hers was around 20 million, 25 million. And it is sad, you know, like I know Melissa doesn't get the same amount of screen time as a lot of the male stars like Rick when he was on the show. Norman, right? Or Daryl. Well, let's use character names. I don't think Carol got the same amount of screen time, so obviously she shouldn't be paid the exact same amount of money. But I do think there is a lot of injustice when it comes to female roles as opposed to the males. And I know that's something they're trying to work out in Hollywood, and they're doing a good job. I have some friends that are in the industry that are really advocating for the equal rights for women. Glenn Mazzara is a friend of mine, and he is a former showrunner of The Walking Dead. He was the showrunner from, I think, the tail end of season 2, like the outro of season 2, all through season 3. Some of the best writing, I think, in a long time. And then maybe the exit was just before season 4. But he's a huge advocate for women's rights in both actors, writers, producers, showrunners, anybody who's in the industry and the entertainment industry, movie and television industry in Hollywood. He's an advocate for equal rights. So I would like to see maybe some of that money come up a little bit for some of the female actors. But who are we to say, right? But anyway, so where I kind of took that direction further of that conversation, saying that, okay, well, yeah, but they have 3-year contracts. So it can't end in 2 years. Technically, yes, it could. I'd love to see it go 3, 4, 5 years if Angela Kang and the crew continue to write content like they're writing right now. And I think it's quite possible. I think it's totally possible. I have so much faith in Angela Kang, it's not even funny. Now, I was kind of on the other side of the fence a while back, leading up to what was happening with Rick. And sure, I was, kind of fickle with my opinions, but I've always been a strong believer in Angela Kang. And for people that don't know a lot of her background, you know, she didn't just jump into the showrunner seat overnight. She's got well over 30 episodes under her belt as either a sole writer or a contributing writer. It's some of the best episodes ever she's been involved in. So she's been there long before. Well, I shouldn't say long before Scott M. Gimple, because Scott M. Gimple's been there all the way through as well too. He was an understudy to Glenn Mazzara, as I mentioned. You know, basically Glenn Mazzara was his boss, and Glenn was Angela's boss. These people have moved up. Glenn moved up to the top of the reign. Now he's moved off to the chief content officer, and Angela has resumed his role, or assumed his role, I should say. And I think she's doing phenomenal. And she's more of a fan than probably most of us are. As much as we call ourselves super fans, she is a super fan, and she just happens to be the boss of the show. So what else could we ask for? She's a fan first and foremost, and then she has a job to do second. And I know there's probably some times where she has to go back to the powers that be and sell her story, but it will always benefit us as fans in the long run for sure. I want to make sure I'm just not missing anything here as well too. Rick Hefner says, love you, Eric. I just happen to be a Z Nation guy. And you know what, Rick? Thank you. Appreciate that. I've never watched a show. I'm seeing all these things on Facebook. Is that something I should check out? Will I like it? I mean, I like all that kind of horror. I like Zombieland. I like all that kind of stuff as far as movies. I like anything that's zombie related, Night of the Living Dead and all that stuff. I love it to death. But I've heard this Z Nation. I loved World War Z. I enjoyed that. But I don't know enough about this show other than the characters I'm seeing going through my Facebook feed. If it's something that you recommend, I will check out for sure. So that was basically, going back slightly again, I do know I get off topic, but so this contract, so they signed for 3 years, but there's conditions in these contracts, and I've mentioned it in some of the videos, that 3-year contract allows AMC to pick up Norman, pick up Melissa, and drop them into any position. So let's just say a Daryl spinoff show came about, right? Or let's say a Daryl movie came about and they needed Melissa McBride in the Daryl movie, or maybe it's in the Rick movie, whatever it may be. If these Rick movies continue on, it's going to take a few years for these to go. It's going to probably take about 5 years, probably 4 years, 5 years before we'll see all 3 of these movies. What these contracts allow is AMC to pick up these people and drop them where they want. I don't want to go as far as saying like picking up the chess pieces, but AMC does now own these 2 actors, Melissa and Norman, to stick them where they want. So Walking Dead could potentially end in 2 years. Well, hopefully not, as we know it on the show, but there's still a year left of contract and AMC can put them wherever they want. So we'll see. But that was just basically my polite argument back to the people that are saying, but what about this 3-year contract, right? Let me see here. Go back to DVD Riz. I kind of miss Frank Darabont. The first 7 episodes were like a blockbuster movie. Yes, Frank Darabont, I'm gonna give some kudos to him. And I know there's a lot of bad blood with Frank Darabont and AMC, and it probably comes down to money. Money is pretty much the root of all evil, as we know. And I'm not getting religious. I'm just being factual. Money is a root of a lot of evils and a lot of hatred between people, and going into things as partners, and then all of a sudden later, blah, blah, blah. But Frank had a great mission, and I do agree with you on what he did for the first few episodes. And I'll share some little trivia with you. It has a lot to do with Frank. First of all, Frank obviously put out a fantastic movie, was behind The Mist, and a lot of the characters in the movie The Mist were Walking Dead alum. We had Melissa McBride, we had Laurie Holden, who played Andrea, we had Jeffrey DeMunn, who played Dale, and I forget the scene, but Morales, and I honestly forget his real name, he was in the show, and the main character, and I totally forget his name, maybe someone can comment, he was actually forecasted to be Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, and I can't believe I forgot his name. Maybe someone can mention it. I know you'll come up with it, but he was forecasted to be Rick Grimes, and for some reason, that's one thing I like about Frank Darabont. You can look at Frank Darabont as a more successful Adam Sandler, and I don't mean that in a comic role. And as much as a lot of us may attack Adam Sandler for the movies he makes, Adam Sandler is loyal to his friends, and he will use his friends again and again and again. And because he uses his friends in different projects, those friends grow on to be successful in a lot of cases. And it's almost like a mother bird, taking care of the nest and then letting them fly and be free and having success. Well, Adam Sandler does that with his movies, and I think they're cheesy sometimes, but here's my point. Frank Darabont does that as well, too. He brings in his friends. As far as I remember correctly, Melissa McBride was the casting director, or she comes from a casting director background. So she did basically what Sharon Bialy does now for The Walking Dead, and also Sharon was also in charge of Breaking Bad. So the same casting director for both. And casting director is a very important job. Those are the people that don't get the claps and the pats on the back that really deserve it. So if we didn't have a good casting director, we would have probably Pee Wee Herman coming in to play Shane. Okay, can you imagine that without a casting director? Can you wear a cop hat and can you say these lines and hold a shotgun? And we got Pee Wee Herman being Shane. Thank God for the casting directors and the good ones like Sharon Bialy, and in this case, Melissa McBride back in the days of Mist. These people have a very skilled job. Frank likes to repurpose those. So let's go a little further with that, talking about Frank. So Andrew Lincoln wasn't cast yet. We have this fellow, and I forget his name again, Thomas Jane. You got it. Thank you, Bad Wolf Tail. Thomas Jane, you're 100% right. a really cool actor. I think he played in Deep Blue Sea too, right, with Samuel Jackson, stuff like that. Very cheesy, but he could have pulled it off. If we didn't have a Andrew Lincoln to compare to, he could have been a credible, I don't say incredible, but a credible Rick Grimes. So last minute before the midnight hour, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but Frank Darabont, and I'm not sure who came up with the idea, Frank or Gail Ann Hurd, who's one of the executive producers of Valhalla Entertainment, and Terminator. She's involved in all those great hits. Aliens, I believe, as well too. Someone between the two of them got the word out to Andrew Lincoln, or maybe Andrew's agent got a hold of them. I don't know how that worked, but they literally did a shoot in Frank Darabont's garage. They did the Shane and Rick cop scene in a car in Frank's garage. So Andrew Lincoln takes the driver's seat. John Bernthal over on the right. They're doing their dialogue back and forth. I don't even know if they were shooting with a camera. They might have been probably just a little handheld camera doing the scene. And from that very moment, there is no future thought of Thomas Jane for Rick Grimes. It was instantly Andrew Lincoln. So that's a very cool, useless fact of the day. You've probably read that elsewhere. Some of you may be new to it. So I think that's very, very cool. And that's a very long way of going back and talking about Frank Darabont. And you'll notice Frank Darabont gets credit to this day, and he always will. It's probably something that he negotiated in that kind of horrible separation, horrible divorce, if you will, that I think it says story originated by or content created by. I forget the actual title is. It's something of that nature, but Frank gets serious credit there, and he always will. And I'm sure that must really be a difficult thing for AMC. It's like, saying how much you love your ex-wife when you certainly don't. It's something that, ooh, boy. But anyway, so that's where we are with that useless fact of the day. But it's kind of a cool trivia as well, too. Let's continue down. Bad Wolf says, it's certainly a show to check out. Some of it can be a little bit canny at times, but it's still a show that's popular. It's on its 5th season now. So I will do that. I will binge watch that one and check it out. I certainly can't. It says corny. I mean, not canny. And Elizabeth Lashley is here saying hi. I'm sucking wind, says Pee-wee's Adventures. Ashley Miller, tonight's episode is going to be bittersweet. No more Rick. And let's jump into that in a second as well, too. And Elizabeth says, thanks, Bad Wolf, first time. And Amber Grace says, I didn't know that. Haha, that's cool. Yeah, so it's a useless fact, and it's kind of neat. I would love to have been the fly on the wall watching that little kind of improv audition. And man, he must have really noticed it, or nailed it, I should say. So we talked about the contracts, and so we already have the Bad Wolf Tale website listed as well. So I encourage you to check that out. That's been posted already. I'm just going through some notes because I certainly don't want to forget. And a couple of the Facebook groups as well, too. I know Nocturnal Butterfly has shared those as well, too. So we've got the Walking Dead, Enrique's Walking Dead group. We've got the link for that one. And another really cool group I've just discovered recently, the Walking Dead family, run by Amy Aiken. And I think we have a link to that one as well, too. So thank you, Nocturnal, for sharing those. She's so good in the chat and keeping the flow of the program working very, very well. And I'll be trying my very, very best every episode I do of these things, the teasers leading up to the show every Sunday night, to share a couple more groups. I'm probably in about, I'm going to say roughly 10 right now. And I try to stay in the bigger ones so I get the most conversation as quickly as possible without having to try to, read through all the things. But some of the smaller ones are really awesome as well, too. But I will share as many of those groups as I can, just for some people that are coming here new, they may not discover the groups. So here we go. So I'm going to issue some spoiler warnings. And when I say spoiler warnings, don't run and hide. Don't leave. Don't unsubscribe. Don't thumbs down. We're not getting into anything really deep tonight other than the fact that what is common knowledge. A lot of it is actually shared on your cable guides, when you're watching DirecTV satellite or a cable or wherever it is you watch these programs, the guide will actually tell you what tonight's episode is about. Now, of course, I think AMC must have sent out a little memo to some of these people and had them change some of their wording, but we're not going to get anything deep. I'm not going to be scaring you away with anything that's given away. So I'm just reading some notes here as well, too. So tonight's episode, obviously a major time jump. And first I want to ask you people that are the diehards, we're now jumping 6 years tonight from last week. We're going from last Sunday to tonight, and it's a 6-year time span. Now, on the show, a lot of times, episode to episode could be several weeks. I think one of the episodes, from episode 1 to 2. Now, don't quote me on this, and I don't want to be flamed for being wrong on this, but I think episode 1 to 2 was something like 30 days or something like that, or at least 15 days or something. It was a bit of a jump, but now we're going from season 5, where one of our heroes exited the program, and we're now 6 years into the future. Now, the biggest thing we're going to see, obviously, is the age of the younger children. And AMC has been teasing these things, obviously, with the Judith, the new Grimes, right? The kind of the blood, what's the word? The blood generation of Grimes. Now, technically, it's not technically the bloodline of Rick Grimes. And I think that's going to be something. Do you tell me what you think about this one here? Think about the counseling that Judith Grimes is going to need. Number one, her stepdad killed her father. So her father's dead. Her mother slept with the father, so to speak, now, and her stepbrother is dead. I'm wondering if we might see Judith Grimes like on a future episode of Dr. Phil or something. Is there such a thing as a psychiatrist in the apocalypse? I don't think we've come across too many of those. We've come across doctors and scientists, obviously, like Jenner back at CDC, and Eugene, a bit of a quirky doctor, so to speak. And we've had Milton, these crazy, kind of torturistic doctors back in the governor's era. But I wonder if there's a Dr. Phil in the apocalypse. I think Judith is going to need a little bit of counseling for sure. But I do think the time jump is going to really help us deal with some of these things that happened in the recent episode. And we talked about earlier with these series about, dealing with the issue at hand, extermination and repopulation. Well, we're seeing that repopulation now. We're going to see, and this is no spoiler, I'm not going to say who or what, but we're going to see new, we've already seen hints that there could be new children coming, a new child coming between a certain couple on the show. And we're going to actually see that this evening. And I'm not sure if we're going to see it for long, but I think that's really, really awesome. And I think that, again, that further solidifies what the future holds for us. Remember when we first saw Judith, Laurie gives birth to Judith back at the prison. It was a very, obviously, it was a fatal childbirth. And Judith was supposed to die in the comics anyways. If people read the comics, Judith and Laurie were killed at the hand of the governor in the comics. So Judith wasn't even supposed to be. And we probably all had that what if scenario. What if Judith goes on to become something? And I don't think any of us, maybe some of the diehards might have speculated that she could be a future leader. Half brother Carl, you're 100% right. Yeah, so I sometimes don't say that, but you're 100% right, Elizabeth. It's half brother Carl. Yeah, 100% right. But a lot of times I just say that because sometimes I feel awkward saying that. Half brother, whatever. Technically true, but just like Rick wouldn't say, Judith is his kind of stepdaughter. He would say it's his daughter. So arguments aside, that's how I'm saying it. But you do have a point, Elizabeth. So did we ever think that she was going to be this leader? Now, with her brother being gone, there's huge potential, and we're starting to see some of that in some of the teasers for the show. Looking pretty cute, looking like a Grimes. I do kind of feel sad the fact that with Carl being gone, I don't know the whole story on that. A lot of us have our theories, and it looked like it was something that was totally unexpected to Chandler Riggs. And I do feel kind of sorry for him sitting there watching back the show and seeing another young child now picking up the role where he left off. And, that does have to hurt a little tiny bit. I won't lie. I think that might hurt. But we only hear secondhand knowledge. None of us work for AMC. None of us get the direct input. None of us are probably friends with Chandler Riggs. So we don't know the real story, nor will we ever will. But I do think that it kind of hits a little bit, But I do think the fact that this time jump lets us deal with the departure. It's going to see evolution of characters. I think we're going to see, if you want to point to Daryl for a second and look at Daryl, I think we're going to kind of see him in his own place. And I think he's carrying a lot of baggage. I think he does carry a lot of baggage, and rightfully so. I think he should in a lot of cases. A lot of people have died at his hand with certain actions or reactions or things he's chose have caused some death. Now, are they all his fault? No. You could say the same thing about Rick. Rick has had people suffer at the hand of, being killed by directions he's taken as well, too. So neither one of them are innocent in this case. But I think Daryl's going to be now holding a lot of that guilt back. And maybe we'll see some of that as well tonight, too. I think we're going to see a different Daryl for sure. And I'm really anxious to see how that affects them. I don't know if we're going to see too much Daryl in this episode. I have no idea. I have not seen the episode yet, so I'm speculating with you as well too. So let's go back a little bit in the chat, and I'm also going to try to make some notes here as well too. So let me know as well too if you do think that the 6-year time jump is great for the show. And I kind of teased it the other day saying, did Walking Dead just reset the show by doing this time jump and kind of clearing house with a lot of characters? I didn't clear out a lot of characters, but there's a couple characters gone. And I do think that it's been a reset, and I kind of like it. It feels fresh again. It feels like season one. The cinematics and the score, as I started to talk about at the beginning of the episode, or this live stream tonight, I think the score is coming back and being an emotional, musical actor in the show, and I believe in that strongly, and that's a lot to do with Angela and her team. Elizabeth's last week's episode was rough but epic as ever. It was totally. And Sandra Lee, Nocturnal Butterfly here, as you know, we're in a chat here. She's listening upstairs. She hasn't watched the last 2 seasons. She got sick for a while, and fortunately she's better now. But when I say sick, we're talking over a year's worth of sick, and she lost 2 seasons. So she's just like, you know what? Can I just maybe jump into it now and pick up without having to binge watch? And I kind of told her, yeah, I think you could, because the all-out war with Negan's team, as much as I love the all-out war in the comics, it's very, very, very long. And on TV, I think it's longer than it needed to be as well, too. And I said, we could probably maybe show you 1 or 2 episodes from the all-out war. And I think one of the last times she left off is shortly after season 7. So I'll pick some of the best episodes of season 8, and we'll get her caught up to speed. But I kind of lost my train where I was going with that. But yeah, so last episode was rough as ever, as Elizabeth was saying. And she's upstairs while Junior and I are watching it downstairs, and we're screaming, we're shouting, and I don't want to say we're crying, but we had some emotion, and she's like, I heard you guys down there. It was really funny. Just hearing her secondhand version of what we were watching was great. So we're going to get her caught up to speed right away as well too. And I agree with you 100%. Very tough. Rob Groden says, I'm incredibly excited to see where the show is going now. I really feel it's time for Rick to leave, and the seasons from the next 3 episodes look great. I think so. I really think the next few episodes look phenomenal. I sometimes get hesitant on new characters, but the immediate new characters, I'm not overly... I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't judge yet. I'm not overly excited about the immediate new characters, but I am excited about what's coming next villain-wise. Now, with the immediate new characters, we're getting to see some new weapons, and I kind of like this. One of the weapons, we were at a store today, and Nocturnal Butterfly points out to me, she goes, oh, look at that slingshot. And what did I think out first saying? Was Walking Dead. We're going to see a slingshot as a weapon, and I won't say who's using it, but how ingenious is that? Daryl is so successful using a crossbow as a silent weapon and doesn't attract any attention. And now he has not necessarily an indispensable amount of arrows to shoot. He can make them, of course. I'm sure he's good at it. But you have an indispensable, unlimited amount of ammo with a slingshot. Rocks, pieces of steel, whatever. I think that's fantastic. And there is one shot where you see a slingshot. It goes right through a walker's head. Clean shot right through. I love it. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So that's really cool. So I'm really happy for you as well too, Rob. And Elizabeth says, I'm in both groups and they're awesome. No problem with that. 35 days it was, Bad Wolf Tale. So I was close. I knew it was something like that, right? That was, now, Bad Wolf, that was going up to the Gregory incident, right? Between what happened in Gregory, or maybe it was after Gregory's thing that happened. 35 days, so I was close. How long has it been, how long has gone by since the outbreak started with the time jump? Elizabeth Lashley says, I'm going to digress to someone that probably knows better than me, Bad Wolf Tale. If you want to mention that, I've heard some numbers thrown out there, and I'm not 100% sure. So I'm gonna let you try to answer that one. I know it's a long time, and if you think of it too, a lot of these children were basically born post-apocalypse, and their whole life has been in the apocalypse. Can you imagine that? That's kind of crazy. We're gonna see Gracie, right? One of the Savior's babies. Obviously born during the apocalypse. I think we're going to see Gracie throughout this season. Judas, of course, obviously now has a strong role, and we're going to see another baby, which I won't say who yet. And that baby is going to be, I don't even want to say how many years old, because that'll kind of give away. You people are fine to comment in the chat if you want and say it. I just won't be responsible for saying it, but we'll know how old that baby is, and it'll kind of let you know whose baby it is. And we will find out tonight for sure. Dr. Ruth, I'm sucking wind. Yeah, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. That brings back memories. Yeah, Dr. Ruth would probably be a better psychologist in the zombie apocalypse than Dr. Phil, because Dr. Ruth could always do some helpful relationship tips between people. We'll leave it at that in case there's any younger viewers watching the show. I believe it's 3 years, Elizabeth. No way we had those time jumps. No way we had those two time jumps. Rebar Grimes. Yeah, Elizabeth is saying, yeah, that's been kind of the name that's being tossed out there for the kind of the play on words, Rebar Grimes. No, I'm second when they do not eat their own children. No, sorry, it's not a cannibalistic show, unfortunately. Nope. And I'm second when says I'm a huge Marvel Comics show fan on Netflix. Oh, he's in a huge show on Netflix. Okay, that's one of the cool things too about Marvel and this huge universe that they're creating. That could pose a problem too for the longevity of Michonne. You know, Michonne's done so well with the Black Panther and sequels from that and the Avengers and things like that. Apparently, for one of the times I did a video a couple of days ago talking about the contracts that were signed with Melissa and Norman, Denai Guerrera, who plays Michonne, she hasn't signed her contract yet because obviously at this point now she's known around the world. Obviously, Walking Dead's done amazing things for her in the video games and things like that as well too. But for the actress herself, the roles that she's played in these other shows and play and things like that as well too, theater, she can now demand just about, well, I shouldn't say anything she wants, but she certainly has more bargaining chips available, and that's been difficult for AMC to sign. And we all know what happens if they can't sign somebody, that character could get written off the show. And I'm certainly not trying to scare anybody. I don't think there's probably any chance of that. She's a huge character, and I think that things will come to terms and they will negotiate that. But there is that chance, right? I hate to see that happen to lose Michonne. Let me see here. I scrolled too fast. I'm going to try to get back to where I was. Ashley Miller says, it'd be awesome to see how the Amish survive through the zombie apocalypse. They're pretty unbothered. You know, I kind of talked about this in the video. I said, you know, we only get to see a very small portion of the world of survivors, and we can kind of double that if we factor in Fear the Walking Dead. We see things through Mexico. We see things through Los Angeles. On Walking Dead, we see through Atlanta, you know, and places like that in the surrounding communities, Georgia, that kind of stuff. But that's only the small community. Now, sure, we talk about these Commonwealths and these other big organizations that are maybe in different places of the world, but we're seeing such a very, very small nutshell of people. So yeah, we have our Amish out there, you know, people that probably live, very, very basic needs. Like that's actually kind of a throwback when they went to DC and they got the wagon and all those things. The very first parts of season 9, that was the main goal, was getting some of these old technology things like pull behind plows, wagons, and tractor. Like basically, well, they had real tractors too. They're trying to find fuel for that, and that was cause of some problems too. But that's the cool thing about starting all over. It goes back old school. And I'm sure all of us have had these discussions where we're like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just kind of go back? I know we'd miss our Facebooks and our stuff like that, but detach ourselves and go buy a property and do some farming and live off the land. Well, in this case, these people are forced to that. And so, yeah, people like the Amish and other people that live off the land with very basic means, that'd be pretty cool. So very, very cool. Yeah, and actually, I'm Second Wind says there are groups all over the U.S. preparing for the apocalypse. Very, very true. Some people have these underground bunkers. And I saw something that I almost thought was folklore the other day on Facebook. The police had arrested some individual where he had this stockpile of weapons. And man, I tell you, it was totally up Negan's alley. It was like a baseball bat with 2 saw blades on either side. And I think maybe he was going a little too extreme. But it was pretty cool. There are people out there that are preparing for it. And just when you look at and you laugh at these people, that's going to be the type of people that will save your butt. I get it here on a very local scale. You know, we've in a small part of Ontario, Canada, where we live, we've had several tornado warnings, and Nocturnal Butterfly here is always on me religiously every day. Pack a survival kit. And, oh yeah, I'll do it, dear. Yes, dear, I'll do it. She's still waiting for me to do things from 6 months ago when she asked me, and I'm like, yes, dear, I promise I'll do it. And it'll be a full year anniversary before I actually do these tasks. And there's gonna be a zombie apocalypse, and I'm gonna have my mustache and my iPad. And what's that gonna get me? You know, literally. So I gotta act on these things when we're told to. So always be prepared. Let me see here. Elizabeth says, I think they're going to combine all the movie series, etc. someday in the future. I think so. I think we might see all these spin-offs and each individual. I certainly don't want to use the word Avengers, but, you know, a Captain America, an Iron Man, blah, 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 blah. Well, we're already getting a Rick Grimes. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I think we could easily see a great Negan spin-off, movie-wise. I don't want to necessarily see a Negan series. I think we need a Negan movie. I think a Governor movie would be great. I also toyed with the idea of a Daryl and Merle movie, right? Because those were characters that weren't supposed to be in the comics anyways. Or I mean, sorry, not in, they weren't in the comics, but were made for the show. And I think that'd be great to lead that thing. The Walking Dead video game, you kind of got a bit of, what was it, Survival Instinct, whatever. I have it on PlayStation 3. It kind of give you a bit of a backstory. They lost their dad and all that kind of stuff. And how, you know, Daryl was kind of the little abused brother, whatever, and went along with whatever Merle said. I would love to see some of that come to life. You know, having to survive out in the woods, becoming the tracker that both of them were. I think that'd be fantastic. And then again, like you're saying, come full circle. So very, very cool. So we talked about one of the new Grimes in the rank. We're talking about our next. I'll just kind of toss a little name out there without going too far. And most of the people are watching the show right now as well too, are familiar with the Whisperers. And I won't go into too much detail there to give any spoilers, but it's something we'll be seeing in the coming future. And I think we may see some hints, very, very, very slight hints tonight, probably towards the end of the show, only judging by trailers, but going to be a threat that is going to be probably the biggest one our characters have ever faced. If you don't know who they are, simply Google them, the Whisperers, The Walking Dead. Be prepared for some shock. And if you're planning on reading the comics or you're into the comics, keep reading, because after the Negan, during the Negan era as well too, that's when you're going to start to find out about the Whisperers. And I won't spoil this either, but there's two great characters that are going to be kind of the leaders of the arch villains, and one of them is a famous actor who's going to nail the part, who's from another famous kind of Breaking Bad / maybe I'll even say Sons of Anarchy, emphasis on Sons of Anarchy, an actor from that show. And I think the casting here, again, hats off again to casting directors. You'll see why what these people deserve these pats on the back. Phenomenal. Let me see here. We're talking about preparing for the zombie apocalypse. And Bad Wolf Tail says, I'm not sure, but recently had her 10th birthday. We need to ask a creator for the official state of the time. I know. What time is it exactly in the apocalypse? And you know something that was really cool? This was not planned on saying, but someone that I think if was still alive in the show, I mentioned his name earlier by appearing on The Mist, Jeffrey DeMunn. Do you remember when they're sitting around the campfire when basically all went to hell? When Andrea's sister got killed, and it was just a complete cluster bleep. That's been when Rick and the team went back to the top of the building in downtown Atlanta to try to find Merle, and they came back and the campsite was overturned by walkers, and a lot of people died. And I think that was actually even the same time where Jim was bit. But where was my point? Hang on to this. I get sidetracked sometimes. Coming back to that Dale, where they're happy times, just sitting around the fire, and he was looking at his watch, and I forget who asked the question first, but someone says, what is it about that darn... Oh, actually, it was Morales. I think it was Morales that mentioned it first. He says, what is it about that darn watch? And Dale says, you have to keep a sense of time, especially, and he gave this really famous speech. And I kind of wish he was still with us, because I think he'd be known as Father Time. And, that could be argued. Herschel had that pocket watch that was very, very sentimental and become a key symbolic item throughout the future of Walking Dead. It became a gift to Glenn as a passing on to, I'm sure you're going to be marrying my daughter. This is now yours. But the element of time is something that's overlooked in The Walking Dead, and now we're kind of guessing a lot. We're guessing what time is it. So, as you say here, we almost need a creator to answer what time is it in The Walking Dead. We are getting close to the 8 o'clock hour, so I'm going to try to wrap up soon. Probably not going to get a chance to cover everything I wanted to, but that's a good thing in a way, because that's more content we can save for later. I've been having more fun reading your comments here in the chat, and I do want to let everyone get ready for, at least people that are in the Eastern time zone, get ready and get in your seat and ready for the show. I know myself, I got to be sitting down and ready to go. Let me see here. And that's very nice too. I'm Second Winds passing on some well wishes to Nocturnal Butterfly. Let me see here. And Elizabeth says, I can't wait to see Judith and her little katana. I can't either. Now, I didn't know she had a little one. I thought maybe she was borrowing Michonne's, but I guess that kind of makes sense, because if she had Michonne's katana, that would be probably like 2.5 times her length. So I did not know that. And Ashley says, I think maybe towards the end of The Walking Dead, they'll take what's left of the show and end it with the third movie. You're probably right. And yes, Bad Wolf Tales, this is kind of neat. This is really, really cool. And this is something Nocturnal Butterfly wouldn't know. And it's not really a spoiler, and you're going to be caught up in this anyways. Connie, one of the new characters, is deaf, and really looking forward to it. So can you imagine being a person without your senses of hearing in a zombie apocalypse, where you need to hear a rustle of a stick being broke or leaves. And so there's interpretation by sign language, and that's very, very important. And hopefully more than just one person knows sign language, and I'm sure that person, the new character, will teach that to the group. So there's always a second in charge. Sadly, when that happens, just like when we see a new doctor become, so Enid now has taken on some medical skills, being a kind of a second in command or a second helper to Sadiq. A lot of times that means when someone learns the ropes, they're now expendable. So hopefully we don't see Sadiq go, and hopefully if someone shares these sign language skills, that we don't lose that person. That's always a bittersweet on The Walking Dead. So yeah, Connie's death, that's going to be a real... I'm second wins. Paintballs can be very effective. That's something we've never seen as a weapon yet on the show, and that would be fairly silent, Brenda Morgan is here. Nice to see you back again, Brenda. Brenda's new to the channel, but been here a couple times. Thank you for coming back. Says the Whisperers are coming. I've been binge watching Bates Motel, where Ryan is Chip, Norman Bates' friend. Can't wait to see him on The Walking Dead. And Elizabeth says, Ashley Miller Gimple said something that Andy may be in more than the movies. Who knows, but it's cool. Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see Andrew Lincoln back on the television show, but I could honestly see, they talked about some digital properties. That could be video games. I could very well see that being video games, because video games are hot with children. What am I saying with children? With kids, with adults like us, probably more so with us, especially the ones that love the show so much. We're going to go out and buy the video games. I wouldn't be surprised you'll see Rick do things like what Norman Reedus did and voice his things and stuff like that. Who knows what it could be, but they did really emphasize on digital content as well too. So, but I don't think we'll ever see him on the show unless they, the people, the powers that be, convince him to come back on for the end season finale, like show finale, not season finale. That's about the only time I think we'd see him back on the show. In more than one movies. That's cool. Rick and Michonne's baby. There you go. That's from Amber Gray. So we'll see that. And that's why we're kind of tossing around the nickname of Rebar Grimes, because obviously Rick having the rebar as I was going to say impairment, but maybe we'll say impalement. And David Riz says they don't utilize new characters very well. They really should use the Whisperer Pikes to clean out the cast of people they can't find meaningful stories for. And I do think you're right on that to a fairly large extent. There are some characters that everyone has characters they like, and it's really funny. If we were in a group of 10 people right now, if it's just 10 of us in a room, and they took a survey of us, and who's your favorite character, name me the top 5 favorite characters. You're gonna see some that are the same. I'm sure you might see a Rick in there, you might see a Michonne in there, you might see a Daryl in there, but you're gonna see some surprising. You're gonna see some people's gonna say Tara. And for an example, I don't mean any disrespect to the actress that plays Tara. She's a great actress. Sometimes when you dislike a character so much on a show, that means to show you that they're doing a great job. Like David Morrissey as a governor, I hated him with a passion, but one of the world's greatest actors. But that's why you hate that person, because they're selling you that role. But there's some characters that I honestly would not lose any sleep over. If Tara happened to be one of the ones on a spike, I'm sorry if you're a Tara fan, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Maggie has exited, not necessarily for good, but if Maggie had not exited, if her head was on a spike, I would not lose any sleep over it. Now, there are some comic, and I won't say who here, but there are some comic roles of characters where their heads are going to be on spikes, and there's some pretty important people on the show, and I'm hoping in this case, it's not that way. There's some characters that, some people say they're expendable. Maybe they are, but there are. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. But there's a couple people, one male, we'll say anyways. I'll say one male that I would not want to see on a spike. The female that's supposed to be on the spike, I honestly won't lose any sleep over her either. Or pike. We call them, people in the United States call them pikes. We call them spikes here in Canada. Tomato. But so that's the thing. There are some useless characters, and I think they could weed some out, and that is a good way as well too, just to kind of, okay, time to clear out the house. But they do need some of the key players as well too, because The Walking Dead doesn't rely on shock value anymore like they used to. They did. Season finales or mid-season finales and season finales were all about shock value. You could almost skip 3 episodes, wait for the mid-season finale, and boom, the big character dies. We all cry. We get over it. But now they're shocking the hell out of us at when we least expect it. And that's what they're going to have to do with these fence posts, the spikes or the pikes. They are going to have to shock the heck out of us and really pull at our heartstrings, because if not, it's just going to be, oh, wow, really? You had the cameraman. You got a cameraman on a bike, right? You can't have that. So yeah, that was a comment from Elizabeth and Amber Gray, DVD Risk. Let me see here. I think we're getting towards the end here. Need a Morgan movie. I could go with that a little bit. I was all over the fact with Morgan before, like all over the map, I should say. I loved Morgan, hated Morgan, loved Morgan, hated Morgan. And I'm kind of starting to dig him again as well, too. And let me see here. Brendan Moore, can't wait to see Little Rick. Tiny Rick. Had to say it. Let me see here. Bad Wolf, I hope we get to see the origin story with the French. They were the last place known that they were looking to find a cure. Yeah, mentioned from the CDC. That would be very, very cool. And who knows, you know what? That's a really good point. We talked about this potential of Rick flying off with Jadis in a helicopter and most likely overseas. That's what a lot of us are speculating. France is a good possibility. Never even entertained that thought until now, until you said that, Bad Wolf. According to Jenner at the CDC, the French were the first the people closest to the cure. Fantastic. And Elizabeth says, don't know much on whispers, but excited dead men talk. Sort of, so to speak. And you'll see why they're going to be such a powerful threat, because they have something available to them as a defense that you would not expect and will let them be on your side in 2 seconds without you even knowing it. A man in Ohio got arrested only in Ohio. There you go. And on second one says, you have a Canadian prepper. He has a great YouTube channel. Elizabeth Lashley, Nita Morgan movie. Yeah. Abraham and Gabe is the one I would have high hopes for, as it was hinted in Fear the Walking Dead. Yeah, exactly. Or Abraham and Eugene too as well, because it said on the tapes where it said Abe and Doctor. So pretty cool. That might see a nice spin-off movie with them. Rick Jr. Yeah. And okay, this is really good. Bad Wolf Tale says, I presume Earl made the katana for her at the hilltop. I believe so. And Earl has been redeeming himself, working off his crime, so to speak, and we'll leave it at that. So that's probably very, very well said. Yeah, so Elizabeth's asking, who is Earl? He's the blacksmith at the hilltop. He lost his son in episode 1, if you remember, season 9, and he went on to further take some actions. He was an alcoholic in his past life and hadn't touched a drop of alcohol in many, many years, and was persuaded by someone bad. Someone got him drunk, and he acted on something which was very, very, very bad, horrific crime, and almost cost him his life. And now he has some penalties to pay, and that was something that Maggie was overseeing as well too. So we're going to wrap up here right away. We're a little over the hour here. I just want to make sure I get down to the bottom of the comments and make sure there's anything else that I wasn't going to. Maybe a couple comments. Do you feel we're going to see Negan tonight? Is he going to be on the loose? We saw some kind of cool things, some dialogue between Negan through a window or through a jail cell, we'll say, with a younger character. Maybe we'll see some more of that. I'm looking forward to that. So maybe share your thoughts on that. Daryl supposedly is getting a new partner throughout this season. We won't say who that is, but it's certainly not, and I don't think we see it tonight. We don't see it tonight, I'm sure, but there's a new partner coming for Daryl, and it won't be what you expect. I think that's going to be kind of cool, and something I think a lot of fans have been longing for, and I'm sure the ladies are going to love him even more now with that. And I've just made further notes to take a look at those Facebook groups. So the groups that we posted and the websites as Nocturnal Butterfly shared them throughout the evening here in the chat, they're in the description down below. So please check out those groups. If you're not a member already, please subscribe to them, like them for whatever, and go see what they offer. Great content for sure. And of course, we've got Bad Wolf Theories website as well too. It was updated quite often, so check that out. Go to the last few comments, and we will let you guys and girls get ready for a fantastic show tonight. I know some of you, maybe it's obviously in England, it's tomorrow before you get it, but at least we'll hopefully pump you up and get ready for the show. Elizabeth says you're also doing miniseries that will probably end with That Way or a spinoff. And this is a good one too. Bad Wolf says Alden is my favorite character at the moment. He's becoming a voice of reason that I presume will be on the council between the communities. I could see that for sure, and he's been a big voice of reason. He's gone to Rick and asked for guns for some of the saviors, and I don't think we'll see that very well. But if any guns come for some of these remaining saviors that are some of the good ones, Alden will be the cause of that, because he's petitioning and lobbying for that. And I do like him. I think he is a good voice of reason. He's a very very young voice of reason, and I think they need that. Elizabeth says, this has been fun. Thank you. And the thanks are all mine. And if you're new here, please, I know I said this at the beginning of the show, please consider giving me a subscribe, hit that subscribe button. And I promise to work really hard for you to bring you good content each week. And I will work hard to keep you as a subscriber. I'm not just going to say subscribe and then I coast on autopilot here. I'll work very hard for you, I promise. And thumbs up if you enjoyed this as well too. Share in some of those new groups too. Go to those groups I was telling you about. Share some of this content. Brendan Morgan, this has been fun. Look forward to the next time. Great job. Thank you. Bad Wolf Tail says, thanks for the show, Eric. You deserve a drink now. Got one right here. Amber Grace has had a lot of fun tonight getting ready for my favorite show. Thank you. See you next time from Michigan. Very nice. We're close. We're not too far away, believe it or not. And I hope you enjoyed the show this evening. Elizabeth asks, you can't wait to see the show. Looks very epic, and I'm surprised. DVD Risk saying, thanks for the stream. Spoiler, new couple laugh out loud tonight. Probably won't see it tonight. You won't. Well, no, there's a couple that you'll see tonight that's already been introduced already, but there is someone coming for Daryl later on. And it's I won't say anything like that, but the character might have more lives than the average human does. Listen, it is 8:06. Some things I didn't get to tonight. I really appreciate from the bottom of my heart people that tuned in. This has been a lot of fun. New content series here on the show. I promise to work really hard again, like I said, and enjoy that show. And come back over on Facebook, facebook.com/RockingDeadTV. Share your thoughts, maybe recap what you thought about my stream, any things you can suggest for me for future, what you liked, what you didn't like, and I'll be happy to vet those things and work it into better shows each week for you. When does it start? 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, at least in Eastern Standard Time. I think it's 9 Eastern, 8 Central or something like that. So soon, get over there and watch the show. Enjoy it. 6-year time jump. And I think we're in for a brand new feel of The Walking Dead. I'm going to let you all go. Be sure to check out the link down below. And actually, there's going to be a little commercial here at the end for our merchandise store. We only have one Walking Dead item in there. All kinds of cool stuff. But if you're interested in picking up either a Walking Dead shirt, or we've got some really cool things, mustache themed things. And not about me. It's about Movember. Movember here, actually around the world, is time for recognition for men's cancer research. It also, money goes in these charities for to prevent suicide prevention. All kinds of great things. Long story short, what I'm saying is everything that is in our merchandise booth, there's a lot of cool stuff for men and ladies. We've got tights. We've got all kinds of cool stuff that you ladies will love. And 100% of the proceeds that we sell from the month of November, we're sending to Movember Canada. So for a great charity, and you can pick up some merchandise to support the show. And really, all it is, I'm just going to be thankful that you're supporting Movember Canada. As of December and thereon and so forth, sure, we get some money out of it. We get a little bit of a commission for a sale. But for now, it all goes to Movember. So check that out. Appreciate it. We'll see you all next time right here on Rockin' Dead. Cheers.
Rocking Dead is brought to you by Design39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for Rocking Dead are provided by Rode Microphones. Get your Rocking Dead swag available in the Broadstash Boutique at broadstash.com. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.